I want to share what I've learned after building my own corner of the internet because this has been 2 years in the making and it is finally everything I ever dreamed of. It feels like a direct reflection of me. It feels like as little of a performance as it can be with it being social media. And it literally funds my dream life. Like, I have my dream job right now that I made for myself. I am my own boss, and I actually feel like I am helping the world in a very meaningful way. When I started this whole journey, there were so many gaps in knowledge. There were so many gaps that I had to fill that I didn't even know I had to fill. I would learn one thing and then realize like, oh, actually, I can't do this without the other. It's like I'm swimming in the dark to just the next brightest light. Now, if we want to start a metaphor, because I did use the word build intentionally when I say build my own corner of the internet, this part is about choosing the quality of your material, aka learn how to tell a really good story. Learn what makes a good video happen. And I know when I say that, like step one is learning how to make a good video, it seems like a, well, duh moment. But I think so many of us get caught up in like, what's the content strategy? And like, what am I going to sell? And what brands am I going to work with? And like, none of that matters unless you know how to make a good video. And what makes a good video is how to tell a good story. And the thing about making a good video is learning how to communicate ideas as clearly as possible, because I know we want to say like, oh, the full expression of myself, and we just need to like blurt out a bunch of stuff. Well, if you blurt out a bunch of stuff, it gets very hard for people to suss out like what is important information to file. And so I just got really good at delivering ideas clearly. And that is what you need. If you have a vision for the world and you want people to see your side, you need to be able to communicate that very clearly. So this got me through 6 months, but then the build got delayed because this was when I said, what is the point? What am I even doing here? And it doesn't matter how good of a story you tell or how good you are at making videos or how many followers are coming in. If you don't understand your why, you're living on a sprint and not a marathon because you don't know where you're going. And that was when I realized I needed a foundation. I was building a corner with no foundation, and that foundation was my why. I needed to contextualize myself in the grand scheme of the internet because I will not work on anything unless I know that there's a bigger point to it all. It is why I would make my algebra teacher explain what I was going to actually use whatever we were learning in class in real life. Otherwise, I wouldn't do any of the work or pay attention. It was kind of like picking the neighborhood of internet that I wanted to live in. Like, what are my values? What am I really wanting out of this experience? And then what are shared values in this vicinity of the internet that like align with me? What am I actually doing here? What can I really contribute? And what conversations am I going to be a part of? So when I got down to my why and my values, I realized I was here to build a new earth. I could align myself next to and with creators that were also here to build a new earth. And that meant that all of my videos needed to resonate with a woman with passion that knew she was meant for more, that knew she was supposed to impact someone, and she just didn't know how to make that version of herself that lives that life of impact and full expression a reality. And that reality is full of abundance and hope and positive change. And so now I was like, okay, now I see the point of all of this. So building was back on at this point. I had my why. I was making good videos. My audience was growing. But then I kept looking at my feed and being like, this isn't me. This is not me. Like, how do I make it feel like me? Because I kept trying different fonts, and then I would change the fonts, and I would change the colors of my videos, and I would change like the style of my videos. And every like 3 or 4 months, I'd be like, this isn't me either. And I thought it was. It feels uncomfortable in the way that like, you know, when you know the colors that you look good in, and then you go to like the thrift store and you find this cool sweater and you're like, this is not what I usually wear, but you know, it looks cool. Like, let's do it. And you take it home and then you wear it out. And then you're just like kind of uncomfortable because you're like, no, this is not me. Like, this is not me. I gotta take this off. And so that's what was happening internally. But externally, it's like, okay, we've got our corner. It's structurally sound. Like, let's throw a party. That's when you're making videos, right? You're getting people to come to your corner. Well, you send out invites and you're like, yeah, it's this it's the purple corner on the left. But then the next party, you have to say, oh no, it's like the yellow corner on the left. And you're doing this like every few months so that no one really knows who you are. Like everyone's like, fuck, I don't remember her. I don't remember the corner you were at. And people need to remember what corner you're at. And after a lot of trial and error, after iterating and iterating and iterating on my mood board, 3 or 4 font cycles in, I finally got to a place where I'm like, yes, this is so me. And now I look at my feed and I'm like, this feels like me. Like energetically, this feels like me. And that is truly the biggest compliment I get from my friends is they're always like, I watch your videos and it literally feels exactly like when we FaceTime. And I'm like, yeah, that's because I just learned how to let myself be. And then I look at my feed and I'm like, yes, this is the outfit that makes me feel the meest me, but like the internet, digital, social media version of it. But like that wouldn't have happened had I not tried on 4 bad outfits. And I think I kept beating myself up of like, why am I not getting this? Like, why do I not understand branding? When really, I literally had to go through the muck to get that kind of clarity. And I think a lot of people don't afford themselves the grace to mess up and figure it out and change. So I think that's the one thing that most people don't realize is that I didn't know what I was doing when I was doing it. I was talking to one of my friends here in New Orleans who's renovating their house like from scratch, and they had like 0 construction renovation experience at all. And I remember being like so amazed, like how do you do that? And my friend Lena, she's Soy Socks on YouTube. You should watch her. She's documenting the whole thing. She was like, you don't know what you're doing until you like sign up to do it. And then all of a sudden you learn and then you're doing it. And they've been renovating their house just like that for like 3 years. And I think that is exactly what building your own corner of the internet is. But what I do know is that I look at my feed and I say like, yeah, this feels really good to be here. And I look at the women in my coaching calls and I say, yeah, these are exactly the women that I've been intending on helping this whole time. And these are the women that are gonna make the world better if they could get their message out to more people. And the days that make up my everyday life, and I say, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted my life to look like. And I think that is the biggest lesson is you only need to look 1 foot in front of you. And I'm telling you, if you just put 1 foot in front of the other, your dream life is also there. It's right there on the other side of all of the bad fonts and the terrible stories and the videos that had no point and the directionless posting. It is all on the other side of that. If you are a passion-led woman and you have been struggling to build your own corner of the internet, I help women do exactly that over the course of 2 months in my program, Intentional Impact Immersion. I'd love to talk to you and see if I can help. You can hit the link in the description. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm going to be posting a lot more about content creation and what it looks like to build a dream life that is just a series of creative passion projects. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.